So let's start off with this announcement from Pac-Man being introduced as a fighter for Super Smash Brothers.
Well, Pac-Man, huh?
Yeah, apparently the image and video shown for this look like the Pac-Man world
Yes,
version
I
of
have
him.
seen what he looks like. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
It's hard to. It's hard to. I mean, it's Pac-Man.
Yeah.
How hardcore is Pac-Man?
Well, it's not even a hardcore thing.
It's more or less a video game icon.
Yeah,
because-
okay.
That's all it is. It's a video game icon.
I mean, we still got Mega Man in it.
But the video game icon has no arms and no legs.
Normally.
The one that we've been given,
Has arms and legs.
Yeah.
yes.
So I won't know until I play the game and try him out. Will I have a better opinion on him?
Yeah.
I mean, is it cool that they put him in the game? Like I've never had a problem with Pac-Man, never once. So I mean, it's kind of neat. When I seen that he was announced, I was like, the first thing I said was, "Really?"
Yeah, I did too. I was
Yeah.
like, for what? Like, why?
I mean, like, there's 100 other video game icons out there, and you pick Pac-Man.
Yeah. I mean,
And even if I agree that I've made the argument before that if he's iconic, especially Nintendo iconic, he deserves to be in there. But now the rules are changing because there's people that are making it in that have nothing to do with video game icons in terms of Nintendo.
Wii
Yeah.
Fit Trainer.
and then I think the
No,
more,
that's Wii only. That's Nintendo.
Okay.
some of the more recent ones
But
that they
Mega
added
Man?
was actually like Fire Emblem characters.
And now that I think, okay, I'll even give it to Mega Man. Mega Man got his start on
On
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
He's reminiscent. He makes you feel Nintendo. But there
Pac-Man
are
got it.
characters that have made it into the game that
So-
are just not right. They don't feel Nintendo icon
Sonic?
to me. Well, Sonic is definitely one.
Yeah.
And even if I'm willing to let that go because they were always like, oh, we need Sonic versus Mario. Like, people were freaking out about that.
I mean,
wanted it for
they had it
years.
on the previous Smash Brothers game on the Wii. So.
Right, and even if I'm willing to let that one slide, there are still other characters that make it in that make no sense whatsoever. Like, they're like, oh, Solid Snake. And I'm like,
Solid Snake.
why is he in there? I mean, aside from it being a cool gimmick, and yes, it was cool, he doesn't belong there because the original idea was Nintendo icons battling. No matter how bad they want it, Solid Snake is not a Nintendo icon. Ever.
I mean, for a while he was mostly just Sony. Wasn't he? Yeah.
That was it. He went from computer to somewhat Nintendo to Sony. Two bad games on Nintendo does not warrant him a Nintendo icon.
So then why wasn't he in the PlayStation All-Stars game
And
then?
there's another issue. Why didn't he make? Yeah, if you're gonna do it that way, you know who was scheduled for download
Whoa.
for the Nintendo All Stars?
Who's that?
Dart.
From Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
God, that would have been so cool.
In the PlayStation's All-Star Battle Royale.
Yeah, he was gonna be a downloadable.
Well, he
thing.
never came, did he?
From what I understand, we don't get him. But I've never played the game and I don't pay attention to it, so it's possible that it did happen.
It might have
And
been in
because it's
Japan.
something that I don't watch, that I don't pay attention to because it wasn't my game. You know, I never even got to try it.
I played it, and I wanted, and all it made me do was want to play Smash Brothers.
See, I've heard that, and in a way, you've got to understand that that's what it is. It's based on Smash Brothers,
It's a Smash Brothers game with Sony characters.
right? So I kind of seen that coming.
Yeah.
But I played it, and I was like, no. I didn't really care for it. I mean, I like Smash Brothers more.
Yeah, but with Pac-Man being announced for Smash Brothers, it was a bit of a head scratcher. It's like, why? Why the fuck are they throwing in Pac-Man?
Maybe. I don't know.
But
I don't know.
But then again, Namco Bandai's involved with the production of it too, so.
Yeah.
I think they've lost what the game was about. I really do. I think that over time, they've had people coming in and helping them and do designs and everything like that, and it's no longer, like, I believe, now I'm not going to say I'm an expert here, but I think the first one was really just Nintendo. They weren't, like, teaming up with, like, 30 other companies and whatnot that had big names and whatnot. And now with Namco and whatnot being involved, they're able to slip things in there, and I think that somehow Sega got involved, which is how Sonic got in there. So, like, the idea behind the game has slowly died. Like, Kid Icarus should not have taken that long to get in there, but since Nintendo started putting in people that don't really belong in the battlefield, they got in there. And that's not to say that I don't like these characters, because I know it sounds like I'm dogging it, but it's cool that we got them in there, but it changes what the game was meant to be, and it should, like, follow a different name or something. Super Smash Brothers is no longer relevant.
Well, I mean, at least they're not calling it Nintendo Super Smash Brothers. I mean, that would definitely have
But
an
it's
issue.
implied.
Yeah.
It is implied because a majority of the characters are a Nintendo franchised.
I mean, with the original Smash Brothers game on the 64, it was just what,
All
like,
Nintendo
like,
characters.
wasn't it like 8? Like 8 characters?
8 or 12.
Yeah.
One of those two. And
It was Link, Pikachu,
Bowser, Mario, Luigi, Peach.
no,
Donkey-
Peach in the first game?
Was she?
No,
That's
no,
not right.
No. Donkey Kong was in it.
Yes.
Donkey Kong. Fox.
Mario, obviously, but
Marth. Or Ike.
No. Wait,
Ness.
Ike?
Ness.
Ness. Ness was in the first. I think that's it.
There might have been only 8.
I don't have my Wii, so
Yeah.
I can't tell you. If I had my Wii, I'd load it up right now and I'd tell you, but I don't.
But he, all Nintendo characters. Then you guys see when Smash Brothers Melee come out. They added more Nintendo characters.
Right?
Then Brawl came out, and Brawl added like Snake, Sonic. So then it started not being just strictly Nintendo characters.
it more or less became open to
To whoever wants to get in there.
Anybody who's
Whoever can offer to advertise for the company.
almost yes, anybody who Nintendo's worked with. You know that since Sega doesn't make their own consoles anymore, they just make games for other people's consoles.
Yep, and they got in there.
Sonic was it was easy for Sonic to get in that game. And Sonic was actually one of the better characters, I thought. I thought he was a sweet character. But for the most part, Pac-Man, I'll have to try him out. Is he gonna? No, I'm assuming he's also gonna be for the 3DS.
so far as they said, every character that's being announced will be on both systems.
So the 3DS,
Yes.
the 3DS drops in October.
October, and then I think the Wii U one is November.
If they,
Or December?
I have that. All they said was winter. They haven't given an official release date yet. But October is when the 3DS will drop, and I'll try him out and see what he's like.
Of course, there's also been recently they also announced in the UK there's going to be a special 3DS with it preloaded into it.
I seen that, and I didn't know it was UK. I thought it was for us too.
No, so far it's just for the UK.
That's the special one.
Yeah, it's got like
The red one with the
red one with
yes.
the-
The only reason I wasn't bringing that up is because I thought it was going to be an article in itself.
No.
Well, okay.
Yeah, might as well
I
bring
was
that
to
up on
say
here.
that thing, I was kind of pissed when I seen it because
A lot of
I
people
got
are pissed.
like that Pokemon came out and I was like, I need that. I just got a 3DS and I was liking it. But to me, I needed a little bit bigger screen. Like, it's not even so much of my eyes going bad or whatever. It's like the screen on the 3DS was very small and it was kind of throwing me off on different games. So, especially with the dual screen. I don't like the dual screen thing at all, but that's a different topic at all.
Yeah.
My girlfriend wanted a 3DS, and I was like, opportunity arises.
Here.
So I was like, I need an excuse to buy this new 3DS. And you need a 3DS. And we both want to get Pokemon X and Y on release date. Here you go. And I gave that to her and bought that one. And I was real happy with it. But then they announced this awesome red 3DS XL that has all these characters on the front of it and looks awesome. And you know how many years it's really taken for actual special systems to show up?
Let alone, well, in America, it takes a while.
No, I mean period.
Oh, period?
Well, lately,
See that Xbox? That is the limited edition Resident Evil Xbox.
Which is just
It's red.
red.
That's it. There's no emblem, no logo, nothing special. It doesn't make any noises. It came with no games, nothing like that. I'm sorry, it came with Resident Evil 5, but there's nothing about it. When people come over, all they do is they go, "Oh, that's pretty sweet, you got a red Xbox?" That's as far as it goes.
And this is the original Xbox model.
Yeah, there's
Not the
nothing
Slim or anything like
special
that.
about it.
but
It's red.
what's pissing me off lately is Europe.
Europe's getting a lot of
They've been getting
stuff
no,
this.
like Hyrule Warriors. They're getting a collector's edition. It comes. I mean, it may not.
What's it come with?
It may not be much, but you know the scarf that Link wears in the game.
You mean the new?
Yes, the Hyrule Warriors. If you've seen any videos, he wears a scarf. It comes with that, and I mean that may not seem like much, but I want a scarf. It has the Triforce on it. I'd wear it. I have a freaking Zelda wallet. I have a Zelda keychain. I love Zelda. You know, I'm not wearing my Zelda shirt, sadly, but I like Zelda, and I wanted to wear the scarf. And when I seen that they were releasing a collector's edition, like for Europe, I'm like, I don't live there.
Yeah.
How about America? We like Zelda more than Europe does.
I think there's a lot of test market stuff that goes down. America has a pretty big industry of buyers. I think that's really what it comes down to. And so they test things out like that in areas where, and this is not 100%, I'm just making an assumption here. I think that they test in areas where if the buying is not good, they didn't lose too much. Like, yeah, it sucks that special edition didn't go over well, but if they bring it over here to America and they make a mass quantity for a market as big as us, and then nobody buys it, they're hurting. Like, that's not good for them. So I think that's honestly a big part of it. I think that they have testing markets, and we're not the testing market. We're the market if it goes over well.
I thought of one other possibility that could happen from this. If we don't get that Super Smash Brothers, once I can talk, that Super Smash Brothers 3DS, knowing how different things can be, they'll probably just give the US like a Super Smash Brothers 2DS.
Or a Wii U.
That would suck.
Yeah.
I don't like that stupid.
Yeah.
Or they could come out with a bundle.
Even though
Wii U.
I don't even use the 3D, and I wouldn't want that stupid 2DS. It looks derpy.
It does, because you can't shut it.
Yeah.
You can scratch your screens up.
And you know what's real funny about that is they started this screen is protected thing, and then Sony messed up when they released the Vita, and they're like, better get a screen protector. Because we ain't closing shit.
Like, Nintendo went from, like, the original Game Boy, which didn't close, obviously.
Yep.
Game Boy Color. Game Boy Advance.
and
Game
then
Boy Advance SP was the first one that shut.
Yeah.
Yes. And
then they went to the DS.
You noticed that the Game Boy Advance didn't sell right. I mean, it was a terrible system. The backlight was awful, non-existent really. The contrast, you had to be very specific in the way you held it. It looked like a friggin' taco. Like the sound. Remember the speakers? Your hands had to be in this really awkward position because the speakers were here, and that's where your thumbs would rest to get to the controls, but they can't be there because you can't hear shit. So you gotta hold it like this, because you gotta be able to get to the shoulder buttons, but you gotta be able to get to these buttons, and you want to be able to hear your game, and then you're playing that one game where they're like, this is innovative. The amount of sunlight actually gives you your energy. And I'm like, so not only can I not hold the fucking thing and not hear the fucking thing, but I have to go outside where I can't see the fucking thing to play the fucking game.
Well, what I didn't like the Game Boy Advance. But what made the SP different is, like I said, it shut, protecting your screen, and if I'm right, it had a rechargeable battery.
Yes, it was the first one
Yep.
that I know of.
Yep.
Okay, for portable gaming,
That had a rechargeable. They no longer needed batteries.
and you like I was always the kind of person where people would be like, "Oh, what they need to do," and I'd be like, "They're not going to do that because they lose an awful lot of money." But I was wrong, and when I wasn't thinking about it back then, Nintendo doesn't own the battery company, so in a way, the battery companies were pissed when all of a sudden they were like, "By the way, rechargeable battery," and the battery companies were like, "Fuck me."
And then look after that. And then
Think about how much money. Think back to your childhood.
How many
Think
AA batteries?
Game Boy,
the original
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, which, by the way, Game Boy Pocket was my favorite Game Boy they ever released ever. I don't know why.
What about Game Boy? What about the micro Game Boy?
No. Game Boy Pocket, all the way. All the way with the Game Boy Pocket. It was super thin, like almost as thin as just 2 games.
Right.
That was it. The buttons were absolutely perfect. It was just as big as the Game Boy, but slim. It actually did fit right in my pocket, and the screen was no longer green. It was gray. That sounds like no big deal, but when you turned it on, everything looked better. Like, everything seemed sharper because in the green screens, you got this weird glare. Where, like, when Richter was walking in Castlevania, he left a line behind him that you could tell was there. So when you were moving quick, like in Mario, you could almost tell there was like an after image on the screen that you were playing on. I hated that. But as soon as you moved to the Game Boy Pocket, that was not there anymore. Everything was gray and built more like on a black and gray scale because it wasn't colored yet. And everything was green. Now everything was gray with the little dots, and it didn't cause the blur effects. So everything looked better, sharper, the speaker was louder. Every way, the Game Boy Pocket was better than its predecessor, in every single way.
Now, then, like I said,
And the color got fatter. It doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but to me it kind of was, because I'd spent the last 3 years playing Pokemon Red and Blue and Silver and Gold, and the next thing I knew, they were like, "Here's Game Boy Color," and I was like, "This is kind of heavy in my hands."
Then when the DS came out, it's still shut, rechargeable battery. From there on, Nintendo was nothing but rechargeable.
Yeah.
Then they had the DSi, the
DSi.
DS Lite.
DS Lite,
then
DSi, DSi XL,
Yep, and then
the
3DS,
3DS XL, and then the 2DS,
then all of a sudden they went back to this doesn't shut. Like, why?
But then again, with the pattern that they had with going from like standard to XL, it's like they're probably gonna make a 2DS XL.
They need to shut. I know it doesn't seem like much, but shutting it really does make a difference. You won't scratch your shit up. Like, yeah, the Vita can get scratched up easily because it doesn't have a. And that was the same thing with the PSP.
Well, when you go to a pawn shop, go to a comic book store or a pawn shop, find a PSP, pick it up and look at it. Really look at it. There'll be like scratches and like areas on the sides where it's been dropped and things like that, and it's all okay. They get a little beat up, but then they get more beat up when they're brought into the store and somebody throws it in a box, and they take it out of the box and they put it in the display case, and the screen has got like those fine scratches that are never going to come out. And even when the game is on, you don't really notice them, but as soon as you turn the game off, all those scratches, you notice those scratches. And all of a sudden, go look at a Game Boy Advanced SP. It is beat to hell. I mean, beat to hell. The outer screen has barely any paint. There's scratches. Looks like a dog chewed on the end of it. Now open it. The screen is brand new.
I think the SP was a good idea.
Yeah, the SPs also had different types of models. Like the NES type. the, I guess you could say, the special
Okay.
model.
I
Yeah.
want to say there was a special model for Zelda, wasn't there?
Yeah, the Zelda
Probably.
NES.
It had the Triforce on the front.
I think
it
there
was
was
gold.
a Pokemon one too.
Yeah, but that's what they've been doing lately. Like when A Link Between Worlds released, they released a new 3DS XL.
No, I mean the SP.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, with the whole
Yeah, the
special.
yeah.
That's what they've been doing lately. And like I said, Bill got the Pokemon one. I got the Pokemon one. Even Nick's 3DS is the Fire Emblem one. They're coming out with all these stuff. Now we got Pokemon, right? But we're not. But Super Smash Brothers. I mean, I know Pokemon's probably bigger here than Super Smash Brothers. I don't know because those are all, like I said, those are big Nintendo characters that we've had for.
The reason I'm going to say he's right is because Pokemon is still, even present day, the second highest grossing RPG of all time.
Yeah, man, Pokemon has
No
been
matter
around
how
longer.
much you think it's child for kids or whatever you have against it or for it, numbers don't lie. And I hate to be one of those guys that's going to quote numbers at you, but numbers just, they don't lie. It is the second highest grossing RPG ever made in the world. And that says something.
But would it be nice to get the 3DS? I mean, I don't know what I do. I got a Pokemon one.
You got the blue.
I got the blue.
You got the blue and I got the red. Yeah, we bought it at almost the same time.
Yep.
In fact, I got mine a day before you, and I told you, I was like, you better get down there right now. They have 2 left.
Yeah, then I asked you what color you got. And you're like, I got red. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I got red because it was the last red. The very last red.
He had 2 blues.
It was the last red in our area.
And
Because I asked, I said, which one's selling better right now? And they said, the red. They said, we are on the very last red, and we had to have this one brought from another GameStop. And I was like, holy shit, give me that one. I was like, if that's the last one, I need it. And I've been like that for a long time. Even if I don't necessarily like that version, if it's the rarest version, I buy it. And not necessarily because it's the rarest, but because I've had things stolen before. And it's easier to track down something that's more difficult to find. Like my specialized Xbox, my original Xbox, I took it to Chicago and had a modifier break the thing open, and he replaced it with a see-through shell with neon green skulls all over it. That was see-through. And an idiot stole it and pawned it at your GameStops. I can't remember which it was. It was at... No, I do. The mall. It was the GameStops in the mall. Not the GameStop that was upstairs that was labeled EB. This was like years back. Yeah. But the one downstairs.
Yep.
It was that.
The one that's still there.
And it was that one that took my stuff. And I remember when I walked in and said, yeah, I'm looking for something that was stolen. It was probably sold here. The guy goes, real special Xbox, neon skulls, real unique. I was like, that would be it. He was like, hold on. And he went and got it and showed it. And then I got the cops down there and still never got my stuff back. It was wonderful. But I found it.
Right. But if we got a 3D, if we got a 3DS Smash Brothers, I don't know what I would do. Because when the Zelda one released, I didn't trade in my Pokemon one to get the Zelda one. Because the Zelda one was neat. It was black on one side, gold on the other with the Triforce on it. The Pokemon one has the 2 legendary Pokemon from X and Y on the front.
But how many of those actually had the game pre-installed?
Oh, I didn't have it
No, it didn't even come with the game. It was just
the Smash Brothers 3DS one comes preloaded with the game.
Right, which is definitely interesting.
I think the Zelda one did come with that game installed on it.
Yeah, our Pokemon one didn't. Nintendo got to make more money off Pokemon. You sell the DS separate from the game.
Yeah, that's weird because I thought they had that same type in either Japan or Europe, and it came with the game.
Oh man, the 3DSs, the Pokemon 3DSs, XLs they have out in Japan are better.
Yeah.
Like we got the red and blue, but they got at least 2 others that were better than the ones we got.
And then they also have a 3DS XL in Japan for the Fire Emblem, I think, and then also
Like for the Fire Emblem here, I got Nick's right here. For the Fire Emblem here, what it has is two dragons on the side and the sword in the middle, and it has a little bit of detail over here in the each corner.
But this is just a standard 3DS,
Yes,
not an XL.
this is just a standard 3DS.
I've noticed they're even going out of their way now to incorporate the panels, where you can just buy the panels now for any of the DSs or 3DSs
And snap them on.
or XLs and just clip. This is my favorite game. This is my custom thing.